Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by my weekly preview cohort, my friend Elliott. Elliott, this one's all about the fight on the undercard of Smith Eubank 2. We were talking about the Albanian King, Florian Marku, who faces Irishman Dylan Moran in a welterweight contest. Intriguing fight. One that I think is, I wouldn't say it's a 50-50, but you can make a case for both men. But Florian Marku is obviously, a big name in Albania. Kind of got a lot of fans in the UK now as well. Always brings over pretty big fan base when he fights, pretty loud. Fought in Albania last time, and it was a lot of fans back in the UK this time. My first question to you, Elliot, is if you look at Florian Marku, obviously we're talking way probably into the future now. But where do you think his ceiling is? How far do you think he can go? Is he, to do it in British terms, is he an English level fighter? Is he a British level fighter? Could he win European, world? Where do you see him?
Well, honestly, Paul, thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you very much for having me on. I mean, it's a tough one to say, but I genuinely think Marku could fall somewhere between British and European in my mind. Frankly, at the moment, definitely. I don't see him going beyond European level fighter. Perfectly, to be perfectly honest with you, at the absolute maximum. So I don't see him competing in the world, especially at welterweight, a stacked division. I don't see him getting anywhere near the top of that. Frankly, I see him being like an entertaining fighter in his own way, but I honestly don't see it. I mean, I really don't. What about yourself?
Yeah, mate, without offending our Albanian contingent, I think that I don't even make Florian Marku. Maybe at best I make him British level. I look at I can't remember if he's vacated or not now, but Echo Esserman was the welterweight champion. I'm pretty sure he was the British champion, and then I think he was European as well. And he stands Florian Marku on his head, quite frankly. In my opinion, I look at I look at Samuel Antwi, who's now moving up to light middle, super welter. He fought Echo Esserman and got beaten handily enough, but I think Sam Antwi would beat Florian Marku for me as well. So just there's two British names that I've mentioned, who I don't necessarily think Florian Marku would beat. To be quite honest with you, I don't know whether I'm being harsh, but yeah, that's how I see it, and it kind of leads me into my next question. And we've basically answered it already, so this could be a short yes or no answer. But do you think that he'll ever win a world title? I have a feeling I know what you're going to say.
Well, you know what? It's important you mentioned Albanian fans because it's like that thing for where like I don't have to, I don't have to run fast. I've just got to run faster than you. And you said that he's, less able than I said he is. So hopefully, if the Albanian anger comes towards anyone, it's going to come towards you, not me. But the answer to your question is absolutely not. No, absolutely no chance. I really don't see it. Nothing against him, hardworking pro obviously wants to fight, but I just at that division especially, no chance. I'll take any odds. I'll take any stake. Anyone that wants it, absolutely no chance.
Yeah,
And I agree
interesting.
with you. Actually, I agree with you. I think Usman and Antu would both beat him. And I feel like until you even get to that point, you can't even say really that you're British level. I think the max you go European, absolutely no chance world title.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's nothing really more I can say. But looking at his last fight, Marku, he fought in Albania and he fought Para. Where does Dylan Moran compare to Para? Could you look at that? Marku won on points, I believe it was, but he got dropped. I'm pretty sure he got dropped at the end of
But
the fight. So, where do you see Moran? Is he a step down, a step up, kind of same level?
I'll see him to step down, Paul, personally. I think it's a close fight against Para. Obviously, yeah, he had Marku down in the eighth, and Marku was in trouble a bit at the end there, like hanging on a bit. Granted, he kind of, in Anthony Yard sort of parlance, he emptied the tank a bit earlier in that fight. But I think Moran, to be honest, is a guy, you look at his record, not a lot of stoppages. I think 8 KOs and 18 wins or something. So obviously not really a power puncher. I think kind of tailor-made for for Marku to go in there and look good again, frankly, and get the wheels going. Probably with a stoppage, we'll come on to predictions in a minute, but that's kind of where I'm leaning. I think it's a step down, frankly. I think it's more of a showcase fight. Get him an opponent that's going to overwhelm quite convincingly and grease the wheels and get the ball rolling again. Is how I see it. Do you? I mean, I don't want to put you in. It's a horrible position to put you in here. As an Irishman, a proud Irishman, to say to potentially have to talk negatively about a fellow Irishman. But do you see him as being a step down, compare yourself, or on the same level, or how do you see it?
I kind of have him on the same pedestal, to be honest. I think that Um, I was I was gonna say I think Moran will beat Marku, but I don't know. I don't know. That's just the Irish in me speaking. But no, I think that yeah, I might have him on the same level. I think Marku will be the favourite, and the likelihood is he does win this fight. To be honest, um, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. Um, I'm going to ask you another question here just after I finish. But yeah, I think that you look at Dylan Moran, and he's been stopped before in his one defeat. Um, which was, but it was a bit of a freak knockout. It was to a fellow who was 2-2-1. Um, so you kind of read into that what you will. It was also over 4 years ago now, so I'm not too sure. But Moran's not a huge puncher himself, and is he going to get a decision over Marku? Probably not. But the question I wanted to ask you, Elliot, and it's not one that I think you're expecting me to ask, but Marku was dropped in his last fight. He was also dropped against Ryland Charlton, who we saw get absolutely baptized by Adam Azim. Does Florian Marku have a dodgy chin?
Well, fair play to you, Paul. You whacked that back over the net, and you're going to get me hounded by the whole of Albania. But I think, yeah, I think honestly, when it comes to a certain level of opponent, yeah, I think I didn't know they were talking obviously when they at one point about throwing him in with I was going to say I was going to use a word there, but I can't because the lads let it out. But they were thinking of throwing him in with Conor Benway there at one point as well. You feel like those sort of names as well. You think he's going to he's going to get his head taken off, frankly. So I think there's a mixture of not having the toughest chin necessarily, but equally throwing a lot of fights to like not necessarily pacing himself through the fights as you'd expect, and then sort of tiring. So I think I can see if he fights anyone credible in that welterweight. I'm talking like I'm not even talking top 15. I'm talking like top sort of 20, 25, 30 names in that division. I think he'll be beaten. I'd really do believe that. But I don't think he'll be beaten on Saturday. So I'm going to tie this over to you, Paul, and say let's have some predictions, Paul. Now, come on, Paul. You said there that you might have the Irish victory, but you said that you don't want to go there. But are we thinking stoppage, or do you think your man will get to the end? Like he had a very good win last time out against Godoy, wasn't it? So very good win. But other than that, quite a few losing fighters on that record. But do you think he'll be able to get to the end of this time, or do you see it as been a showcase win for Marku and a stoppage? Where are you going with it, Paul, please?
Yeah, you can't set me up like that, and I can't fail to deliver. I'm going for the Irish win here. Dylan Moran, Dylan Moran's handing Florian Marku the first defeat of his career. Honestly, there's just something about Florian Marku I don't really think is great. And it's nothing against him as a man or as a fighter or anything like that. I just don't rate him as highly as maybe some other people do. Whether Dylan Moran is the person to beat him remains to be seen. But yeah, why not? I'm going for it. Dylan Moran's going to win, and he's going to stop him as well.
Well, do you know what, Paul? I agree with you on something. Not that. Don't get. I agree with you that I think Marku will win, probably by stoppage. But what I actually fully agree with you is every time Marku fights, you think this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one that stops him. And any sort of slight step up in victory, or slight step up in opponent, you think this is it. This is going to be the stoppage train. This is what's going to happen. So I totally agree with you. It's just a question of how they're going to match him to try and avoid that for as long as possible. But he fights anyone credible in welterweight divisions getting stopped.
Yeah, mate, I totally agree. That's unfortunately all we have time for here, mate. Who will be right? Who will have bragging rights next week between you and I on our next week's preview? One of us is going to be looking pretty stupid, probably me to be fair, but well, it remains to be seen. But yes, be sure to check out all the rest of our content, guys. We've done a lot of other fights this weekend, 2 more on this card, as well as a Friday night IBO world title action. We'll be back next week with more weekly previews, and also be sure to check out all the rest of the content on the channel. And yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Who do you agree with? Who do you disagree with? Who's talking shit? Who's not? Elliot, thanks very much for joining me, mate, and speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much. And should the Irishman win, I expect to see you like Conor McGregor next week. Irish flag behind you for giving me full abuse. I'd be prepared to take it. But thank you very much for having me. And again, thank you very much, guys, for watching.